Hey, Jules Buzz Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. And this is my rainy day here because it was raining in LA, and I was in LA today. It's been raining in the high desert, which is refreshing. Trust me, we need it so bad. We are competing with a movie playing out there, but hey, let's do this anyway. Somebody was asking me about how our food affects asthma, and I've already done a video. If you go up into my search on asthma, I'll tell you, overcoming asthma by not eating processed foods, and that's straight up. And they were asking, like, what do I generally eat in a day? And that's kind of hard to say, but what I will say is I try not to eat any processed food. I mostly have, let's say, like if we were doing 100%, I would say it would be 50% on 50% on fruit, probably 30% on vegetables, and then 20% of anything else. And that might be plant-based something. It might be a plant-based something. Sometimes I do lightly steamed vegetables. I occasionally will have something like quinoa or rice or beans. It's occasional. But that would all fall into that 20%. Plant-based fats, things like avocado, again, in moderation, chia seeds, flax seeds, all those kind of things. Those would all fall in that other 20%. Generally in my day, I love to have a big bowl of fruit for breakfast. I like to have delicious fruit smoothies, like largely fruit, some grains, but mostly fruit smoothies as my lunch. For snack, I would have things like celery and carrots. And then for dinner, I would have like a large salad, but I may again have a cooked element. I like to do sweet potatoes. I like to do, like I said, quinoa. Occasionally rice, not as often. Sometimes just beans and corn, like a Taco Tuesday, but using lettuce, instead of tortillas. So I try and stay off processed as much as possible. I just ask myself, is it God's food? And if it is, I'm pretty much good to go. Because what I find with my asthma is that whenever I consume processed foods, and this individual was also asking about whether high fat content affects asthma. And I have an article here, which I'll include in the description of the video. It's actually like a peer-reviewed study, which absolutely proves that high fat, certainly fried foods, affect asthma directly. And then this is just a really good article on what you should avoid if you have asthma. And it's one of the most honest ones in terms of recognizing the importance of plant-based. So I love it. And again, I'll include it in the description of the video. So just kind of a backstory for me. I did not have asthma as a child. Even in my early 20s, I was still using perfume. I could clean with, regular cleaners. I was doing fine. And then finally around like 24, 25, everything started to affect me. My hands would break out if I used cleaners. I would totally get asthmatic if I was subjected to perfumes and colognes. I couldn't do it at all. I've always had slight allergies to things like household dust, animal dander, grass, anything like that. There's like 5 or 6 things that really get me. But for my asthma in general, what I didn't know and didn't recognize was that I was poisoning myself from the inside out. And while I was most certainly struggling with all of those factors, it was truly the processed junk food that I was putting in my body that was greatly affecting my ability to breathe. And that's just straight up. Okay, so let's get into this. And if this video is too long for you, just stop and come back for the, next 10 minutes. So it reads, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 25 million Americans, and that's a hyperlink, suffer from asthma, a condition where the airways narrow and swell, causing a person to struggle to breathe. I so get that. While asthma cases range in severity, the CDC found that over 3,500 people, and this article is about 4 years old, and with COVID and different things, it's certainly gone up, in the United States died from asthma. That was in 2019. Most asthma sufferers use medication through an inhaler to treat symptoms. That's super important to stress. The symptoms, not the solution, which is to get off of toxic foods, and have created an asthma plan with their medical provider. Yeah, I was doing, of course, a regular inhaler to kind of keep my asthma at bay. Then I was doing an emergency inhaler. I got to the emergency inhaler up to 10 pumps a day. I mean, to where I was just a shaky wreck. Because while it was decreasing the inflammation in my lungs, it was wreaking havoc, I should say, on my nervous system. And at one point, the doctor even said I could reduce my lifespan by 6 years just using that asthma inhaler to the degree that I was. Praise God, I do not have it, though I do keep that emergency one because, again, I never know when cut grass or cleaners or someone's perfume will suddenly take me down. But it's not for the toxic waste that I'm no longer putting in my body. Praise God. Okay, so it says, there is, however, growing research that finds certain foods make asthma better or worse. While there's no specific diet, there is evidence that certain foods can worsen inflammation and asthma symptoms. With today's pandemic, asthmatics need to take every precaution, straight up. Let's look at some of these foods and why asthma sufferers should avoid them if possible. Number one, artificial sweeteners. And again, you can go into my search right here in Jules Plus Vegan and put in artificial sweeteners. I have extensive videos explaining that. In some cases, food allergies can trigger asthma, although it's rare. Some food additives, like aspartame, the sweetener commonly used in diet sodas, have been shown to cause reactions in some people. These reactions can cause a severe attack, so any asthma sufferer should try to avoid food additives or artificial sweeteners when possible. And that's just straight up. Oh my gosh, it's so hard on the body. Number two, processed foods. And I had done a series of videos on 100 foods to avoid, 100, and why they're toxic. You can find that in my search as well. Processed foods. Highly processed foods contain preservatives and artificial coloring that can cause inflammation and agitate asthma users. These food items include fast foods, packaged foods, and frozen foods, most things that come in a wrapper. A study published in 2017 found that eating processed meat 4+ times a week, which people easily do, was associated with worsened asthma symptoms. As with artificial sweeteners, it may be difficult at times to avoid these types of food items. The key is to eat them in moderation. That's a hyperlink. And again, if you have to eat them at all, it's got to be very rare. I mean, how often do you want to poison yourself, right? The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America believes that parabens, tetrazine, and nitrates can have a larger effect than other chemicals. Read labels and try and avoid foods that contain these items, which usually includes sugary drinks, ice cream, hot dogs, and other processed meats. Number three, alcohol. I so appreciate this article because it's just straight up. These are the things I would have told people anyway. Many alcoholic drinks contain sulfites, which are commonly used preservatives. The American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology reports that somewhere between 1 in 40 and 1 in 100 people with asthma have a sulfite sensitivity, which can worsen symptoms. While this small amount, it makes a big difference in those who actually suffer. Try to avoid alcohol, both in the form of beer and wine, to avoid coming into contact with this preservative. Any food additive that can add to inflammation should be avoided, as it can make it more difficult to breathe. So true. Number four, dairy, right? Items like milk and ice cream have long been thought to increase mucus in the lungs, although scientists still debate that. However, some asthma users report that dairy can be a trigger food for them, with things like cheese and yogurt bringing additional symptoms. Unless you live a vegan lifestyle, it may be difficult to remove dairy from your diet. One idea, though, is to avoid dairy for a few weeks and see if your asthma symptoms improve. Number five, fatty foods. Foods like red meat, desserts, and other items with high fat content can worsen inflammation and thus cause increased problems for asthma sufferers. They can also cause you to gain weight, which can be detrimental to those suffering from a chronic disease like asthma. The lungs of people who are overweight must work harder, which can be difficult for someone with asthma and lead to more long-term effects. Some more natural fatty foods like avocados and olive oil do not have this effect. In fact, healthy fats that contain omega-3 fatty acids can help fight inflammation. Think about where your fats come from and avoid those that are highly processed. Asthmatic or not, Those with asthma should follow a healthy diet that avoids inflammatory foods. But this is good advice for everyone. Non-inflammatory, non-processed items promote a healthy lifestyle, limit the intake of chemicals and preservatives, and provide the body with sufficient nutrients. While it's nearly impossible to avoid highly processed or inflammatory food, which makes up a large portion of the Western diet, asthma sufferers should know that the concerns they bring and enjoy them in moderation or as a infrequent trait. Again, how many times do you want to poison yourself? So yeah, I really appreciated the honesty and the 5 things that this article recognized. I really appreciated it so much. This other article, again, it's a study and it's highly scientific, but it has fantastic information in here for those who are concerned about how fat, particularly, don't tell me, there's saturated fat, and then there's, can't think of what it's called. Anyway, the really bad one, beyond saturated, it really affects asthma. So let's see. And this article goes into the difference between omega-3s and omega-6s and all those things and the different studies that they did. Oh, trans fats was the word I was looking for. Yeah, trans fats are a huge problem. So just the conclusion of that article reads, fatty acids play an essential role in the development and resolution of inflammatory pathways relevant to the pathophysiology of asthma. Although dietary interventions have been largely disappointing, there is ongoing interest to determine whether specific endogenous fatty acids can be used as therapeutic agents to resolve airway inflammation in asthmatic patients and, perhaps more importantly, to determine which types of asthmatic phenotypes could gain the greatest benefit. But if you go back in here, it talks about, they have like a table of all the different studies and what they found out, but it literally has the part that is specifically on how asthma is affected by diet. And it says it's hypothesized that variations in asthma prevalence across populations and the increase in asthma burden seen in Western societies over the past decades might be related to a combination of a progressively higher intake of omega-6 fatty acids, which are found in margarine and vegetable oils, and a lower intake of omega-3s, which are found in natural things like avocado, but also in marine oils, because this was talking about how people take fish oil and stuff like that, which, of course, as a vegan, I do not support. But really good information in here for my friend who was asking about how oil and fats in particular affect asthma, and they most certainly do. For me personally, the more I stay with God's food, everything in the produce section, the less my asthma is affected. And when I am in a situation that challenges my asthma, like even at Mass where they have incense and a lot of perfume, where I'm at school and they freshly cut the lawn, any situation like that, as difficult as it is far less difficult when I am not putting toxic waste into my own body. You heard it here at Jill's Blessed Vegan. All right, friends, I'm exhausted. I have a ton of schoolwork and I drove a few hundred miles today, but it was a tremendous blessing. All right, like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. Let me know in the comments below, do you have asthma? Did you find it improved once you got off toxic stuff? What is your thought on that? I'd love to know. And until we talk again, best of all, know that you're blessed.